Well, I came to this interview armed with my camera and a CD from 1998, the one that I start most of my Christmases with, because the gentleman joining me is not just a musical icon, but he has accompanied my Christian journey for all of the decades represented. Michael Whitaker Smith.
Wow.
Who knew that the W must be very important.
Old family name.
Who is Whitaker? Grandpa?
My great-grandmother. Yeah.
Your
It was a Whitaker.
grandmother,
Yeah.
her surname.
Yeah. So, and we keep passing it down, you know, so one of my grandkids is named Whitaker. My dad's Paul Whitaker. I'm Michael Whitaker. So everybody always asks me what the W stands for, you know.
Well,
so,
I mean,
Whitaker with one T.
one T.
Yeah.
That's
Important.
distinctive.
So.
I've learned a lot about you in recent hours that I feel I should have known for all these decades. And by the way, the CD, really, truly, not exaggerating, Christmas time, one of your 4 Christmas CDs, is the way I start my season. Love it.
Oh, thank you.
And you can't leave here until you sign it, please.
I'm going to sign it for you.
Okay, I won't
Yes.
make you do it right now.
Okay.
But I've learned some other amazing things about you. And I know you're not a stats guy, but I'm just going to download 3 Grammys, 13 Grammy nominations, 40 Dove Awards, 28 #1 songs, 24 albums. And you've just been enduring. Others have come and gone. You've just always been part of the musical road.
It sounds busy to me.
It has
Sounds like
been.
I've been very busy. No, it's been a great journey. I mean, I pinch myself. I mean, you know, when I finished making the first record called Michael W. Smith Project,
Which your wife wrote the lyrics
she wrote
for?
all the lyrics on that record. Yeah, I remember sitting in the couch in the lobby after we were mixing the last song, and I remember looking at her and sort of kind of looking up and saying, God, if I never get to do another record again, thank you that I got to do one.
And what was that, 83?
That was February of '83.
1983. Prior to that, you were writing songs for Amy Grant.
Yes.
It's a great story. How many people would even believe me that you were nearly lost to drugs at one point in your young Christian life?
Yeah.
Michael W. Smith.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I got deceived. That's what happened. You know, if I can have a favorite name for Satan, he's the great deceiver. You know, and it's a long story. I've written a whole bunch of books about it. Well, I've written 10 or 11 books, but a couple specifically that I share the details. And I share the details because I want to try to prevent some kid from doing what I did. You know, so I'm just telling my story. But I was a Jesus freak. I still am a Jesus freak. Yay.
Yes.
And but got saved when I was 10, had a massive encounter with the Holy Spirit when I was 13, and all my friends were older because all my friends were drinking and smoking pot, you know, and so I was hanging out with all these people. Well, long story short, they all went off to university and got married and whatever, and all of a sudden I kind of lost my support group and thought I could play with the fire and not get burned, and you get tempted and you sort of try, and all of a sudden, man, I was stuck. I was like in the pit and couldn't get out for almost 4 years. And thank God for praying mom and dad. They never disowned me, ever. They never turned their back on me. They knew exactly what I was doing. Probably not all the details, but they knew I was a mess, and they just loved me unconditionally. They loved me back into the kingdom. I'm convinced this day it was them on their knees praying for me is the reason I got rescued in 1979. I mean, the God of the universe came down, and as I shook and convulsed and probably had a nervous breakdown in November of 1979, I haven't been the same since.
Praise God.
Yeah.
And here you are, G Daddy. That's cute. That is cute.
I
Haven't
like
heard
G-Daddy.
that. You know, Pat Boone is Daddy Pat. He didn't
Daddy-
want to be a grandpa.
I like that.
But G Daddy, you've had your 10th grandchild. You have 2 boys, 3 girls.
Yep.
Did any of them give you? You don't have any gray hair. I mean,
They got the stuff at the
you got
drugstore.
some help too? Okay, well, you know, you do what you have to do. But did you have any trials with your kids, like you gave?
You know what? I think every parent does.
Some.
I think, yeah. I mean, thankfully, I mean, if your kids are good, you're good. That's the way I see it. And boy, by the grace of God, and my wife's just incredible. And I made the 2-week rule that I wasn't going to be gone for more than 2 weeks ever. knowing if this thing did take off. If the chances of a marriage surviving in today's time and doing what I do is, the odds are against you. So you have to make rules, and so I made a bunch of rules, and the 2-week rule is one of them. You know?
Good one.
But
Really
they
good
turned out great. They turned out amazing. They're just amazing.
They're all
kids.
entertainers. Tell us
They're
what
all
they're doing.
they write songs. My oldest son's a filmmaker. My third oldest, Tyler, he's scored 3 movies and doing all these commercials. You know, so they're all like, our house has always been. We had a few athletes. I was a big athlete growing up, but our house has been full of like songwriters and actors and musicians, and just so there was music always going on all the time. I never could even get on my own piano because somebody was playing, you know. So all the time, you know, and so just a fun journey. And again, yeah, your kids, the girls, you know, they went through that, 13, 14, and just like go in their room and stay forever. And hey, hello, don't forget me. But you know, just the stuff that they deal with, and then, you know, they all had issues, but nobody flipped out. Nobody like ended up in rehab or anything.
Good. And a present affirming father probably was a huge part of that. And that the rule for your life was a
well, they
safeguard.
they always knew that they were more important. That my kids were more important than my career. They knew that from day one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Friends are friends forever.
Oh boy.
Now, what year was that?
Well, that was written in 1982. And it was recorded in '82 as well, but it came out in '83. Written for a friend of ours just leaving town.
Oh, okay.
My wife had a wild idea to write him a song.
Your wife.
Yeah.
Silent partner, lots of gifts happening there. By the way, that first album in '83 had a Grammy nomination for Best Gospel Performance. Teamwork, great team for how many years of marriage?
32 and a half.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm really intrigued by some of your friends. And we were having a great conversation about Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus in The Passion. Well, just tell us how one of my favorite Michael W. Smith songs helped with the making of that movie.
Yeah. Well, Jim should write a book about making that movie, and I think he will one day, because he almost died multiple times. I mean, struck by lightning, and
he was actually injured in the flail.
He was injured. He got hit by mistake and just torn to his flesh. I just feel like he was under it was spiritual warfare probably the whole movie.
No doubt.
But I'd met Jim one time, and a long time ago, and I remember when I first met him, he didn't even say hi to me. He just started quoting one of my songs. Started like missing. I said, "Hey, gosh, it's so nice to meet you. I love the Count of Monte Cristo." And he's going, "There was a boy who had the faith to move a mountain, and like a child he would believe without a reason." He started quoting Missing Person. I'm going, "Nice to meet you." You know, it was kind of odd.
How
you know,
flattering though.
And then it was like a few years later, whatever, and then Mel Gibson came to town, and I got to meet Mel, and a lot of musicians got the screen, an early screening of The Passion. And then when I watched it, I was so moved, and I felt like I was supposed to call Jim. I don't know why. I kind of found him through his brother-in-law, and I left him a message, and he called me back. He said, "I can't believe you called me. I can't believe you called me." And we've been friends ever since, and that was 11 years ago or whatever. But the story, he'll tell you, and because he tells it so much better than I do.
Could you get him to come? Just pass on our invitation.
Yes,
when
I
you
will.
see him next.
Yes, I will.
We'd love to have him.
He would love to be here. But when he was doing the hanging on the cross scenes, which was extremely excruciating and painful, just hanging up there, you know, and just the weather and the hypothermia and all that. This little Italian guy would get on a ladder and in between takes and climb up the ladder and put some earphones on his ears, a little Walkman, and played Above All, just over and over, just over. And he'll tell you, he's just going, it saved my life. I could never have gotten through it if it hadn't been for that song, you know.
Just the words of the refrain, Michael, for someone watching who may not know one of the most beloved choruses of all time. What were the words he was hearing? Just say them.
Well, probably like, crucified, laid behind the stone. You live to die, rejected and alone. And the old, I love like a rose trampled on the ground.
Those words get me every time.
You took the fall and thought of me above all.
Above all.
Yeah.
Well, and to think that a president of the United States would sit in the hearing of those words, above all powers, above all kings. Was that Bush 41 or 43?
Probably, well, especially 43.
Especially 43.
Yeah.
But you've vacationed with 41.
I have.
Wow. Friends
bring
are
that up,
friends
did you?
forever.
Hey,
I'm so
there you go.
glad we've made your acquaintance
Thank you.
finally. I think you were here maybe a couple of decades ago.
I know it's
but
terrible.
Please don't stay away so
I
long.
promise. I'll come back sooner.
We thank God for you.
Thank you.
And we're excited about, I know there's more coming. I just know there's more coming. But this is hot, off the press. Sovereign, Michael W. Smith. We know who this is about and who it's for. And I need to tell you, as Michael takes that wonderful seat, that this is at our e-store.